This is apparently the Minnesota police arrested a CNN reporter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody want to guess what color the reporter is before we play the clip? Let's play the clip.
Yeah.
Right now, give us a second, guys. We can move back to where you'd like. We can move back to where you'd like here. We are live on the air at the moment. This is the four of us. We are one team. Just put us back where you want us. We are getting out of your way, so just let us know. Wherever you'd want us, we will go. We are just getting out of your way when you're advancing through the intersection. So just let us know, and we got you. And this is a scene here playing out in Minneapolis. This is part of the advanced police presence that we saw come over the course of really minutes when the local police showed up at the fire department, or with the fire department, I should say, on that building we showed you that was burning. This is among the State Patrol unit that was advancing up the street, saying and scattering the protesters at that point for people to clear the area. And so we walked away. I'm sorry?
You're under arrest.
Okay. Do you mind telling me why I'm under arrest, sir? Why am I under arrest, sir?
Officer's with CNN and he's on the air right now.
Okay.
You are arresting him live on CNN. We told you before that we are with CNN.
If you're just tuning in, you are watching our correspondent, Omar Jimenez, being arrested by state police in Minnesota. We're not sure why our correspondent is being arrested.
Hang on one second, Allison. Let's listen into what these officers are saying. That is an American television reporter, Omar Jimenez, being led away by police officers. He clearly identified himself as a reporter. He was respectfully explaining to the state police that our CNN team was there and moving away as they would request. And then for some reason, he was just taken in to police custody live on television. I'm sorry, I did not mean to interrupt you, Allison. I just wanted to listen to see if we could hear more from the officers, the state police, as this is going on.
Yeah. We're trying to see what's going to happen, John, obviously, to the rest.
I'm about there, guys. We were just out here reporting the closure of the streets. They just, Omar was just arrested. I believe they're about to, we're all about to be arrested. That's our producer.
Our CNN producer is being...
I'm probably going to be taken in a minute.
Our CNN camera crew and our producer are being arrested right now on live television in handcuffs.
I've never seen anything like this.
Why, guys, what is...
Allison.
Why are you arresting us? I mean, we're just passing along the message, your message. I'm done. We're just out here doing our job as well as you all.
We can do that.
Can you tell me what are...
Are you under arrest?
Okay. I'm being arrested now. I gotta can I put the camera down?
All right. Well, I mean, we get the, I mean, there are two thoughts, like, right. It's like, one is like, this is pretty shocking. Of course, there's a lot of stuff that has happened in this context. A cop put his knee into the back of an unconscious man for like 4 or 5 minutes after he had knocked, basically driven him to unconsciousness. That's also shocking. Like, I mean, but I mean,
well, it's
the impunity that these guys feel.
Right. And it's complete incompetence too. Like you don't, we have seen the cities in America have moments like this more than once over the last few years, and we've seen the police act horribly. Rarely have we seen them just act with the sort of staggering incompetence that they are here, in terms of like, it's just stupid to arrest a CNN reporter live on air. That's just stupid. Like my feeling is that, and you know, I feel like having my experience with Minneapolis cops, and those were the state cops, which is pretty much even worse, is that these are primarily extremely cloistered people who do not like the city that they are patrolling and do not like the people in it. And I think that they are showing throughout the last several days that they're not even very good at doing, like, getting away with the cop bullshit that they do when they're trying to, you know, show like when the cops sort of quote unquote let people burn down a Wendy's or something, and not intervene. They're trying to like show audiences at home, well, if we don't do our policing, like these animals will run wild. But like the Minneapolis cops and the state cops are just so bad at that part of this routine that they are going around making themselves look worse by arresting CNN reporters. I don't know.
But here's the question: Is it that they're incompetent? Like there's two different things that breed incompetency, right? One is just like, they're idiots.
Yeah.
And they're bumbling fools. The other is that they're so arrogant that they do not even recognize that they need to put on like an Eddie Haskell type of quality to this,
right,
where they need to project something to, you know, the people at home. They just think that they are so beyond reproach, that they ride so above like any type of accountability, that they make these type of mistakes. Right? Like where like you just did this on air. Like everybody saw how you guys are not being terribly reasonable here on some level.
Yeah.
The other thing about them being outside the city, this is one of the oldest, and to some extent it happens, you know, maybe there's some measure of it happening naturally. Like, you know, a lot of cops in New York live out in Long Island, fairly reactionary place. But when I was in Cuba 20 years ago or so, one of the things that we were told is that that Castro specifically brought the cops in for Havana, brought them in from the countryside, because there was a hostility to the, you know, supposed sophistication of Havanaites relative to those in the rural areas. And the rural areas were going to be a lot more loyal to the Castro regime than city dwellers were perceived to be. And you wanted the cops, you know, it was just what we were talking about with Howard Bryant. Is like, you want the cops to perceive themselves as an enemy, as a natural, that the people they're policing are natural enemies of theirs.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways you do it, just with this geographic divide.
Yeah. And right.
Go ahead.
And in the Midwest too, I feel like in large Midwestern cities, there's an additional racial component of the only part of the region with racial diversity is this city. Cause like these people, the cops are from basically all white enclaves. And that's true in a lot of places in America, but I feel like in places like Milwaukee, it's worse. In places like Minneapolis, it's worse. Like Minnesota is an incredibly white state outside of this one metropolitan area, which is fairly diverse. So like there's definitely, I think that exacerbates it way more in those types of regions too.
Right. We get it. In Michigan, there's that same dynamic. I mean, it's